Welcome to Pagan Coffee Talk. If you enjoy our content, please consider donating and following our socials. Now, here are your hosts, Lady Alba and Lord Knight.
All right, Lord Knight, I brought my own coffee. It's the cold kind because it's 1,000 degrees outside.
Not 1,000.
It's close. It's pretty close. But it is definitely time to manifest with my iced coffee. So we have some questions that we're going to answer from peoples. And the first one comes from Georgetta McMullen. She's in Jacksonville, Florida. I assume it was Florida anyway. And she was asking us to do a follow-up to the episode on souls. Specifically, those who are not ready to be here yet. Okay. The question's a little vague, but I guess she just wants our thoughts on it, opinions, whatever. Sure.
Well, I mean, this all comes from the idea that, well, remember sometime after World War II, we started getting reports of people remembering how they died.
Oh, yeah, that's
Kids
been going
being
on
born.
for
That's been going
ages,
on.
though. I mean,
All right.
yeah.
And again, we've even suggested that, people that play piano and stuff like that just have these innate talents. This could be something from one incarnation to the next.
Absolutely. It's possible. We don't know.
All right. But does this mean that they can also bring over other baggage?
Well, I think baggage always comes along for the ride. I don't know if I, subscribe to it the same way that the Buddhists do,
Right.
that you literally are forced to learn from life to life what you failed to learn the last time. But I think the whole idea of undercooked souls or those that aren't quite ready. I mean, I feel like we have all met someone where we have gone, oh boy, you were a woodland creature.
Right. Right
Last
before
time.
this.
Or possibly even a turnip. It happens, and it happens often. There's two things that I think that are important to that. The first is, and we've talked about this, right? There's only as much energy as there is.
Right.
You cannot create more. Well, we are, as a population, booming.
Yes.
There are too many of us. So inevitably, I think some of what gets used to incarnate souls is spread a little thin sometimes. So yeah, turnip, it happens. I also kind of thought about this in a funny way.
Now, would you also describe these same people as what that you hear that these are the NPCs of the world?
NPC.
Non-player characters.
Oh! Right, video game terminology. That's great.
Sorry.
That's great. Yes. We also have to look at it this way, right? And the whole idea of, as children, right? You can be anything. You can be the president. You could be, somebody has to take out the garbage people. Somebody, right? I mean,
Right.
There's always going to be somebody to do the jobs that other people don't want to do. There's always the infrastructure, if you will, of a group. I mean, look at nature, right?
Right.
You have in the bug community very clearly, right? Minions, so to speak.
Well, I mean, we all know I'm a little bit more country, but if you see an animal get hit on the side of the road or something, there's a process that goes on. First, more upper...
The hierarchy.
Hierarchy starts. You got wolves and dogs and then raccoons and it keeps on going down until everything is broke down.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's kind of gross, but it's true. I also had a fun thought with this question because I thought it was quite lovely. Thank you, Georgina. It made me think of it a little bit from a business perspective, and I went, does God prescribe to the 80-20 rule? Which, if you don't know what that is, in business, there is a mantra for people who, like myself, tend to be a little bit too much of a perfectionist, too much of a type A, where we want things to be 100% before we introduce it, launch it, make it available. No. Any business person with experience will tell you 80%. You launch at 80%. The remaining 20 will be developed
along the way
over those first few years. So I thought about that in relation to a soul. I'm like, well, that kind of makes sense.
Don't it?
You're 80% there. Let's just go ahead and shove you back through the veil.
Well,
the rest will happen as it happens. And, maybe. Because...
we'll finish putting the ship together as we go along.
Yes. And, I mean, I don't know about you, but I will be honest enough to say I have met in my time, right, even sometimes children. You look into their eyes and you go, oh boy, there is something missing. There is something a little askew. Yeah, they're a little underbaked.
Yes.
And then there's other times I have looked at some children and gone, oh, I cannot spend time in a room with you. You will absorb way too much. And they follow you and their eyes track you. And I'm not talking about littles. I'm talking about under the age of 3.
Like, I know there's something.
Yeah, one of my close friends' children, Lord, when he was like 2, I was like, whoa, this kiddo, he was just way, way, way too all there at such a young age. And that really, it throws you a little bit. And then there's others where you're like, all right, you're going to pick your nose for about 10 years before it all comes together.
You'll be eating paste. All right? We understand.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. I don't know why. I mean, again, we can theorize all day, but I think too, there's something about the way reincarnation works that sure.
I mean, I think there's a little bit of a mixed bag there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because again, you're putting this very powerful spiritual being into this body, and you're not sure what's coming out at the other end. How much info, how much knowledge are we bringing from that spirit, from that soul?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. I apologize. I called you Georgette. I'm sorry. I looked at my notes again and went, oh, whoopsie. I think too, we have to think about how many times have we, I know I've done it, I think a lot of people have done it, where in current life, we have said things like, I want to come back as a house cat.
Oh, God, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to come back as someone's spoiled lapdog. Or is it possible that if we form a strong enough bond spiritually with a particular animal, that maybe that's what happens, right? We kind of asked for it. We don't know what sort of choice we're given.
Or is there some type of level there to where a soul becomes so big or powerful it has to reside?
Yeah.
Are you with me? Is there a capacity to our bodies to hold that spiritual energy?
Yeah. And I mean, we have long, right? Human beings have long held that certain animals, I mean, right? Cats, wolves, dogs, bears, lions, birds, right? They hold a different
mindset,
spiritual, place.
These animals often seem to have more of a mindset where it's like that Sense8 show, where it was more of a collective consciousness.
Yeah. There's just something more there. And I mean, we compare that to things like a prairie dog. Not the same, right? There's not the same association. No. I see, I think they're groundhogs. I see them here a lot, and they're always over by rivers and things.
Right.
And especially, we have the Catawba River not far away. And I call them brown chubbies. Because that's what they're brown and they're super fat. They're just chubby little, and they waddle when they walk, and they're so cute. And every time I see one, I always have the same thought in my head. I would love to bring one home to one of my dogs who, I'm not being sadistic here. He loves his stuffed animals so much. He never destroys them. He never tears them up. He babies them. And I'm like, if I brought him one of these brown chubby things, he would be in heaven. He would just think it was the greatest thing. He would probably love it to no end.
Now,
It's
me on the
weird
other hand,
brown
I'm
chub-
setting traps out in my garden to keep them.
Well, but but they're cute, but there's nothing there. I
No.
mean, and there's so many animals that I think fall under that. I hate to say it, but a lot of the herding animals, with the exception of horses, there's not a whole lot going on. I mean, I know, the Hindus really revere the cow, and I've always kind of gone, why?
Why? I
don't understand that. Chickens.
just
Yeah, you don't hear a whole lot of that. Now, people also say, right, pigs are very intelligent and they're trainable, and that's lovely, but same thing. There's not that connection.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not that connection like you see when you see humans interacting with primates.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sorry, even in primates, you can still see that.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God, the intelligence in the eyes,
and the whole,
yes,
and the actual acknowledging of self.
the capacity for emotion as well is
Yeah.
is I think one of the things that sets it apart. Like I have a friend who we were just talking about it day before yesterday. Her and her husband have chickens and they have a turkey, and I went, what? I'm like, so are you just fattening it up for Thanksgiving? No, he's our pet. And I went, what?
Huh?
And I said, is he affectionate? And she goes, not really. But
I mean, it's a turkey.
right. But I feel that way about goats too. I love them. I think goats are hilarious. I think they're just funny, especially the ones that scream and or faint. But anytime I've ever been around one, there's not much going on there. The drive is very simplistic, right?
Right.
Eat, sleep, water,
Defecate.
sex, right, poop. Like that's it. It's just very automatic.
Yes.
They don't seek out much else. And it's funny because, the association with the devil and but I mean, that's just because their eyes are a little creepy. I mean, come on. It's not that big a deal. I see, believe it or not, I see more intelligence in a snake than I do in a goat. That's me. I think reptiles have a little bit more going on, but I don't know. But it does happen. I think that there are people who are new-ish and they're doing their best. And or I really do wonder if it's a choice we make. I think sometimes if you've had a really hard existence, if you've had a very challenging life,
You might choose the option. Let me just be a
Yes!
super-go-lucky.
yeah,
I'm taking this round off.
why wouldn't you want to come back as someone who lives a very simple existence that is relatively predictable and easy? I think that makes a tremendous amount of sense. I would do that. I would take a year off. A year, you know what I mean? A lifetime.
I'm taking this life off.
I'm taking it off. I'm just going to chill here and I'm going to, get fat and sassy on this catnip. And I'm just
and when I incarnate, I'm not putting that much effort into it. I'm putting just the bare minimum.
Yeah. I mean, I often wonder, this to me also equates to certain types of illnesses or birth defects. People with Down syndrome fascinate me, mainly because they're so intelligent in so many ways, even though they're really seen as sub.
They are quite intelligent.
Yeah. And the other piece is they're happy.
Oh, no, let me make it worse. Wonderful thing about Down syndrome people, you can see it in their face and in their eyes. They never lose that sense of wonder kids
The
have.
optimism, yes. The wonder, the awe, the optimism.
I mean, that right there is enough to be jealous over.
Yes. The sheer joy of living. And I'm like, shit, man, yeah. I can understand why I might choose that if given the opportunity. Oops.
Just for once, I'd like to go through the world and not have to fix anything or do anything. Just
or feel the burden, feel the weight or the burden or the desire to have to engage in that way. And obviously, as a society, we've evolved. We understand that people with Down syndrome, right? They're not broken. There's nothing wrong with them. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
So, sure, why not? I can kind of, like I said, understand it. I think, sure, it poses its own challenges at certain points in life. But even, you see interviews with parents of kids with Down syndrome, and their kids are legitimately happy. What else does a parent want?
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I have been raised around this type of people, and yes, they are generally happy.
That's wild, because the rest of us look like sullen shitbags.
Thank you.
Compared to them. And they're the ones that have something wrong with them?
Well, could that actually be the real reason we don't want to see them?
I don't know. That's
Is that we're actually more jealous?
It's aggravating. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
It's annoying.
There's another condition, I cannot remember its name, but literally it's similar but different. It's an inability to process emotions the way you're quote unquote supposed to process them. And it's basically an individual who is perpetually happy, perpetually optimistic. Everything is great. The challenge that's posed is, of course, if something really wrong is happening, they have a hard time expressing it or interpreting it for others because they don't understand it. Yeah,
it's
everything's
this foreign
great.
Thing.
Yeah. I'm happy. I'm wonderful. You're bleeding. I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Yeah, but to spend a day around someone like that, oh my God, that is a blessing. That is a blessing. And we don't spend enough time acknowledging that. Most of us really are just kind of, pessimists. I don't necessarily see the person who came back too soon as problematic. I do think that in certain spiritual circles, they're going to have a lot of work to do.
Right.
That's where it becomes interesting.
And the only problem I see on this is if you're using this as an excuse not to grow and change. I can't do this. This is latent here in my psychological no.
Right. There's another side to this, though, and you're very familiar with it because you've experienced it firsthand before, where a priestess of a religion is going to hold someone back because they feel that they cannot carry out the duties or evolve spiritually in a way that will be helpful. Well, fuck you. Who are you to make that decision? Meet them where they are, not the other way around.
Right. We
have initiated people in this tradition who, in other, I say circles loosely, I don't necessarily mean craft, right? Societal circles, they would be seen as incapable.
Right.
Of carrying out the duties. And I'm like, wait a second. Everybody can do something.
Right.
So that's crap right there. But yeah, we have an obligation to meet them where they are, not to expect them to always rise to the same level as others, because then we're pitching our people against each other.
Yeah.
It's not a competition.
No.
You're going to have different spiritual levels inside of your circle, and some people, yeah, they're not quote unquote old souls. They're not coming to the table with this wealth of deep knowledge.
It's something extra the rest of us don't have.
Right.
It's not.
Their rituals are not necessarily going to be earth-shatteringly, what's the word I'm looking for, deep and meaningful, but they might make you feel good. They might make you laugh. They might, right? They might bring a sense of childlike joy.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
When was the last time you got into the floor and played with Legos? I mean, and actually played.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, too, that you say that, because I think about my friend's 7-year-old who basically tasked me with finishing an art project that she had lost interest in, sort of thing. And I realized I was doing homework for a 7-year-old. Like I was doing a chore that she didn't want. And I was like, this isn't play. I don't like this. I'm like, this isn't fun. I want to play. So I had to divert her attention, and I literally ended up going, teach me something. And she went, huh? And I said, Libby, teach me something. Show me. And she went, okay. And she taught me how to make a bracelet. It was these rubber band things
Right.
that you know. And that was fulfilling. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Just being playful, being silly, being unencumbered. Most of us don't get enough of that. So, you know, hug your newling, your yearling, whatever you want to call them. It's great. These are also often the people that find a lot of peace
Yes.
in things that are very basic. And damned if that's not, right, the place we should be striving for in a lot of ways. Makes perfect sense to me. So, anything to add?
People teaching the joy of watching grass to grow.
Yeah. Paint the fence. Right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it really is finding meaning, joy in potentially things that are repetitive. And that, yeah, we have that tendency as an advanced society to go, oh, that's beneath me. No, it's not.
Nope.
It's not.
Nope.
Nothing is beneath you. That's a ridiculous idea. And I think the minute we lose sight of that, especially in craft, we have
Sort of crossed the line there.
Yeah, it's a funny thing about, traditional craft, because we hear so much about this idea of neophytes and first degrees, right? Putting in a lot of the grunt work and helping out more and being very active, hands-on, right? Helping to clean their temple space, setting up, things, chores, basically. Right. And you go, yeah, but those chores simply evolve into more complex things as your spiritual path grows. But I have yet to see, the one time I did see it, I was actually shocked, is when you see someone who gets to a place where they go, well, that's below me. That's a first degrees job or a neophyte's job. And I'm like, whoa, nope, there's no such thing.
No.
And it's something we always have to be aware of, because any task, anything that you're asking any member of your group to do, you should be willing to do yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Usually the reason you're asking them to do it is because you're at an age where it's physically difficult.
Right.
Yeah. Hence the elders. But, it's not about servitude. It's not what it is. But it is about dedication to all of what it takes to run a spiritual group.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't easy.
Nope.
And sometimes you need those people that come in as a ray of sunshine.
Yes. And
let's be honest, they don't accomplish a whole lot, but they make everyone else a little less grumpy.
Yes.
I think that's okay.
And when you're sitting, and trust me, when you're sitting there setting up because you got 2 or 3 elders from different temples coming in to witness something, you're like, I need every little bit I can get.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for the question.
I hope we answered it.
I hope so, or at least, explored it for you a bit. Guys, we love the questions. Please send them.
More.
We love to interact with people this way. Not only through the podcast, through the church itself. Please remember, donations always appreciated. This is how we keep it running. This is how we keep it going. We are a 501c3. We do have all of the credentials to send you a receipt, but we have links on the website and on the podcast so that you can make a donation. Even just a few dollars helps us to keep the lights on and keep doing what we're doing. So thank you so much for listening. And I'm going to
get some coffee.
Go back to manifesting with my coffee.
Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another episode. Pagan Coffee Talk is brought to you by Life Temple and Seminary. Please visit us at lifetempleseminary.org for more information, as well as links to our social media: Facebook, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit.
We travel down this trodden path, a maze of stone and mire. Just hold my hand as we pass by a sea of blazing pyres. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning.